Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 with our realistic series. Sunflowers and corn are needed for the pig food master, not canola and not soybeans. So we don't actually have any use for soybeans or canola, which means that those two we want to sell, or we want to build a factory of some kind that we can use to process them into something else. And essentially we'll get rid of them out of our little collection, our system, and then we won't bother using them. This is heartbreaking. This is... I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to be cultivating. I'm really hoping that sometime soon we'll get some good events. We've got 18 events. 18 random events. One happens every season. For those of you who are new to the series. And 9 of them are good events. 9 of them are positive things that can happen to us. And the other 9 are bad things. So far, we've had 3 bad things in succession. And I'm not overly thrilled with that idea. But, well, it is how it is. We can't do anything about it. We need to stick with our rules that we have made for this series. And that is these random events must occur. We must do this regardless of how painful it is. So all of this barley is now disappearing beneath the cold, uncaring tines of the cultivator. This is not what I was hoping. This is not the kind of dreams that I had when I was saying it's harvest time soon. I'm really looking forward to the harvest. This was not what I wanted to do for the harvest. This was not how I envisioned it. This was not the great dreams I had for harvest time. A tiny bit that we missed there to make sure we get that. We don't want to leave anything behind. It all has to go. Every single bit of it. There. Right. On we go round. Destroying our crop. I mean, technically, we're not destroying our crop. Well, I suppose we are. Like, if it's that badly diseased, we've already accepted that it's just not worth the time and money that it would cost to run the combine through it. Like, it's really not worth it. So we're cultivating this horribly diseased patch of grain back into the soil, and in the hope that, you know, although it's not done very well this year, maybe the rotting corpses of all these plants can do something to help future generations of plants that we put in here, and maybe it'll be a little bit better for us. So that's our dream. But all of this grain, all of this hard work that we put in, disappearing. It's heartbreaking. It really is. It's absolutely heartbreaking. We will get there. Let's go on back up the hill again. It's not going to take me very much longer. I'm going to finish this off a minute. One thing I have noticed about the engine load is, even though I'm pulling a huge, great big cultivator downhill, because I'm going downhill, the engine load is like 11%. In real life, that would not be the case if you're pulling a massive, great big cultivator like this. Even though you're going downhill, it's still stuck in the ground and you're still having to pull it. I mean, yes, it is easier to pull it downhill than it is uphill. Trust me, that is actually a thing. But you are still having to put in a considerable amount of effort to pull it. I can also tell you, from past experience, that if you are pulling downhill and you come to the corner and then you go to turn round the corner, if you then lift the implement that you're pulling up out of the ground as you're doing your sideways turn, you suddenly have all the weight of that implement push against your tractor, and it will haul your back wheels around sideways, or push your back wheels around sideways, which could be a little bit disconcerting for those of you who weren't expecting it, such as 19-year-old me. I wasn't expecting it. And the place where I was doing the turning was not exactly just on, you know, on the side of the hill. I was on a side of the hill, but the bottom bit of the hill was up against a fence that was then over a bit that was maybe slightly steeper than the actual field, and it had gone down steeper and steeper and steeper until the owners of the place felt that really we couldn't realistically expect anyone to ever be able to drive any further down. So then you got to turn around sideways across the hill. Let me just jump over to here a minute. And imagine, if you will, a nice steep hill like this, but big, nice long steep hill that's coming down. And then there's a fence across, like this. And then just on the other side of the fence is a bit that is more akin to this bank right here, but much higher than that, probably 3 or 4 times the height of a tractor. If the tractor wheel had been pushed further over, the fence, like, given the weight of the machinery involved, the fence would have made no difference whatsoever. It would be a bit like a matchstick trying to hold back an Arctic lorry. So that would... Arctic? Arctic. Not Arctic. It's not a cold lorry, it's an articulated lorry. It would be a bit akin to a matchstick holding back an Arctic lorry. So it's not going to do anything at all. And then the tractor, suddenly, without the weight of the vehicle behind it, the weight of the massive seed drill that I had, was in the ground and just being pulled down the hill. And I got down to the bottom, and then I lifted the seed drill out as I started coming around the corner, because if you're doing your seed drilling, you come up to the corner, and I want to turn that way. So I'm coming down the hill, and then you start turning here. And that brings the seed drill, without it actually turning itself, closer to the edge. And then once it does start to turn, that's when you lift it up, so you're not putting sideways strain on the coulters. So I pulled it round, and I got to that point, and then I lifted it up. Now, it had been lightly raining, and the soil that I was working on was clay soil, and I suddenly had all the weight of that seed drill introduced to the tail end of my tractor, and the tractor went jump, like this. It didn't quite go over the edge. It came up very close to that fence. I was out from the fence, but it came up very close, and it was fast, right? Yeah, so it was like this, and I was there. I was absolutely fine, and then suddenly I lifted it up, and it went slowly lifted, and then suddenly jump, like this. And I can tell you now, 19-year-old me suddenly became 119-year-old me. My heart went into my mouth, and I'm looking down this way, thinking, oh my goodness me, my time has come. And I dumped the seed drill back into the ground pretty quick. And that's why I stopped moving, because I started lifting it up, and the tractor started doing that, and my immediate reaction was to slam the lever and drop it back into the ground. Because I wasn't expecting it, but I was at least prepared for something going wrong. Because I was, like, right on the edge of this this precipice. And, well, maybe not a precipice, but, you know, steep slope. If I'd gone over there sideways with the seed drill pointing down the hill, it probably would have rolled the tractor. Part of me was nervous for my own health. Most of me was nervous for what the manager would say if I came back without the tractor. That they generally frown upon that kind of thing. And so I was kind of there, and so in the end what I did was I dropped the seed drill, the seed drill still in the ground. I just drove forwards. All the coulters were sort of leaning over sideways, and I could see them all pulling sideways, and I knew it was going to probably do them some damage. I just went really slowly. I just inched forward really, really slowly, and so that I wasn't like putting massive strain on them until they started to get a little bit straighter, but also until the seed drill started to turn around a bit. And then I just tried gently, carefully lifting it up again. And it didn't lurch me sideways quite so badly, and so everything was all tickety-boo. And it was fine. And I made it back in one piece. Well, I say made it back. I got round the corner, and then I put the seed drill into the ground again, and I carried on carefully. And then the second time that I went round the fields, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm just going to have to do this really, really carefully. So I went down the field straight like that and then stopped. And then I lifted the thing up in the air, and then I reversed it up the field. I had four-wheel drive and the diff lock on, and it did spin a little bit, and so it would have messed up the seed a bit. Quite frankly, I didn't care. It was fine. It was absolutely fine. But that was my little incident that I had working on a hill. I've had lots of little incidents working on a field, on a hill. You've always got to be vigilant when you're working on steep hills. It's fun. I love it. I absolutely love working on steep hills. I really do. I enjoy the challenge of it. It's just when you have one of those near-death experiences, it kind of just, wakes you up a little bit. You're less likely to fall asleep if you have something like that go on. So yeah, that was one little thing. But we've done that. We've done the cultivating now. We've cultivated in that diseased bit of barley that was not going to do us any good whatsoever. And we can put this one over here. We're going to need a trailer in order to bring the barley back. And we're also going to need... Let me just drop that one down there. So this is the trailer that we're going to want. And then we're going to need a combine over in that field over there, where half of it is now missing. And we're going to need to start combining. And we're also going to want to do something with the straw. There's only one field that we're going to have this year that will have straw. And now we've got half the straw that we're going to have in that field. So I'm kind of thinking that... Well, I was about to say that we shouldn't gather the straw up. But actually, now that I think about it, we do want to get some animals at some point. So possibly if we were to get cows... or pigs this year, we would be quite glad of a little bit of straw, because I don't want to buy stuff in if I can help it. So that means we're going to need a baler. We're going to have to lease the baler, I think. And if we lease a baler, then that'll just be enough to sort of keep us going for a bit. And then we've got the straw. We can go put that somewhere, stick it in a barn, and... that's ready and waiting for our cows and our pigs. So whether I do it with a baler or whether we get a forage wagon and we store the stuff loose, that's a question. Can I actually store loose straw here or not? It's saying please start the engine because I had the steering wheel slightly turned. I really don't know if we're going to be able to do that or not. Anyway, we need to get this one over to the barley field and we can start our harvest. I'm back doing a fresh round of recording and there's been a small update to the game. So I kind of need to just move around a little bit and let it redo the files. I can't remember what exactly the files are called, but the files that they write at the beginning when you go onto a new map. And that's why it's always juddery when you go to start. But I need to do that at the moment. Just move around a little bit at least and just get it started. So it's kind of shaking and grinding a little bit. It's not too bad. It'll soon figure itself out. It takes a minute. Especially when you've got a lot of mods and stuff. It does take a minute to load up, but it's doing alright. So what we were doing was we were just about to go and start our harvest. So I've got a tractor out here. We lost half of the harvest. This terrible disease swept through, destroyed half of our crop, which is not the way to do it. I've managed to get the combine all hooked up onto the header trailer, and I'm just squeezing out through here. So if I can just slide in through that there. Wait a minute. Okay, I can't slide through that way. Let me reverse up and try and slide this way. There we go. Right, perfect. Now, we're going to whiz on down the road and get to the field. And then we should be able to actually start our harvest, the little bit that we can do. And then we'll bring that back, and that is going to be for feeding the chickens, but also is going to be for making the protein feed. We need barley to do that. Specifically, it has to be barley. So we're going to... let's just wiggle in around there a little bit. It's a good job I don't have traffic on this road here, or this could end up causing us problems. So I don't know how much we're going to get from this little bit of field that we've got up here, because we're not able to harvest the whole thing, but it could have been a lot worse. We could have lost all of the maize, well, half the field maize, and that would have been rather heartbreaking as far as I'm concerned, because we kind of want to do that as a great big harvest. Like, I've got my heart set on doing a great big harvest up there, and I think that's going to be quite interesting to do. So let's unhitch that one, and then I will start unfolding the combine. Racing on around here like this. Hitch on that header, and then I was wondering whether or not we should use straw, and I think we will. And we'll gather up the straw, because we are thinking about having all of the different animals on the map. So it would be a good idea if we had straw, which means that I will need to... If I do that, that should... Oh, wait, that's... No, that's not engaging the straw chopper, is it? Let's have a look. Disable. Yeah, right. Okay. So that disabled the straw chopper is now moved out to the back, and so it will allow the straw to drop down before the straw chopper. So we'll start this bad boy up, and off we go. Right. So we get to have this half of the field, and then once we have put it all onto the ground, we need to gather it all up. I'm not sure if we're going to do this with bales or if we're going to do this with a forage wagon and carry the straw back and forth. I'm thinking, given the size of the field, that bales would be the better option, and we've got a couple of autoload trailers that we can use to gather up the bales and run them back to the farm, which I think would be the best option. And we could always do it the proper way. I mean, I don't really want to do loader work, because loader work takes ages and is boring. But we could get one of, like, the Anderson bale collectors or something like that. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll have to see what kind of money we got, because we got $6.5 grand at the moment, and we got a lot of stuff that we need to do. So I'm not entirely sure that it's going to work out very well for us to be able to grab extra things. Although I have been suggesting that I will get a loan, because we need to do our harvest, and there's no guarantee that we're going to get a good... Odds are that we will get a good random event before we have to harvest the silage and also the sugar beet. Whether or not that random event would be enough to get us the money to lease those machines, I don't know. I could just quietly, in the background, rig the whole thing and suddenly have a remarkable amount of good luck. But I have no intention of doing that. I don't want to do that. It just doesn't feel right. So instead, I was thinking, well, what could I do? Like, I've got a couple of options here. One, I can play this much like I've done with a few hardcore series now that I've done, and self-flagellate and just make life difficult for myself and say, no, we can't do that, we can't do that. So the only option here is to get a small harvester and do it with a small harvester. Well, the silage with a small harvester is going to take probably like 8 hours of gameplay. The sugar beet with a small harvester is probably going to take about 20 hours of gameplay. I have no intention whatsoever of doing that. So the other option is, I'm thinking that perhaps we should get a loan. So that was a very long-winded way of me saying I want to get a loan. But I figured I would do the long-winded approach because we're doing the harvest. I need to talk about something. So, yeah, I'm thinking that I'm going to get a loan because I'm playing this as a realistic series, and we have no loan at the moment whatsoever. I mean, yes, we did start off with 1.5 million, but the best way to make a few £1,000s or a few €1,000 in farming, as many of you have correctly pointed out, is to start off with a few million. If you want to make $1 million in farming, you start off with 10. And that's how it works. So, in order for us to make our sums of money, we're going to need to borrow more money so that we can make less money back. That's how it works. That's the principle of farming in general. So we're going to stick to farming principles, and if I don't have another source of income before... You know what? I can actually speed the time up a little bit there. I'm going to go to 5 times speed now. If I don't come up with an alternative source of income, then I will take out enough loan in order for us to be able to lease the machinery we need to do both of those harvests. And well, one of the one of the targets of this series will obviously then be to repay that loan. If I'm taking out a loan, then I will probably slowly increase it in small increments over time as I find other things that I would like to get and other things that I would like to do in the series. Because, well, why not? If we're taking out a loan, let's do this properly. Okay, let's go to this tractor here. And I will race on up this way. One of the updates to the game, so we're now on version 1.9. One of the updates in the patch notes that I read is that they're finally allowing us to put TMR into forage wagons in the base. Because base game, a lot of modded forage wagons will allow you to put the total mixed ration. For those of you who are not so familiar with the workings of the game, I don't know if I can find it in here. Basically, with animals, you've got icon overview. Crops. Right, there's your crops. Greenery. So you have grass, which is what you cut. Hay was when you cut the grass and then you dry it out with the tedder and it becomes hay. Straw is what we've got on the ground right here. Silage is when you put chaff or grass into a clamp and then you turn it. You basically turn it into silage. Then ignore the rest and. Then you have, not there, total mixed ration. Ignore forage, that's an attempt at making total mixed ration, it hasn't come out right. Total mixed ration is a mixture of hay, silage, and straw. And you can also put in some mineral feed into it as well. The forage wagons that you use for picking up grass out of the fields, and you can use them for picking up hay, you can use them for picking up straw out of the fields. Until now, the base game ones have not allowed you to put total mixed ration into them after you've gone and made it up, which has always struck me as a little bit odd, because you can put everything else in them, you just can't put total mixed ration back into them. Which, yeah, that's always seemed to be a little bit strange to my mind. However, they have now updated the game and you can go and do that. So I think that's an excellent addition. I'm going to start that one up again. And off we go. Right, we're going to race off up across the field. I'm thinking twice around the field might... Actually, no, I don't think it will be enough because of the odd shape of the field. So we're going to do one more pass around the field once we've done this. And then we will set the hired help doing some work. And hopefully the hired help is going to be able to do everything that it needs to do. I want to set it up and down the hill right here. So I don't need to do this side again, and also I don't need to do anything down that side there, because that side is already just fine. So let's pick this one up like this. Right, we got plenty of room to be turning round on that bit there. That's not going to be a problem for us at all. And then we can whiz down the hill here. You wouldn't do this in real life with the combine. You'd end up tipping the thing over. Although being empty, it certainly gives you a better shot at survival. But you still wouldn't want to risk it. Not really. It wouldn't be a sensible move. And we'll go whizzing in across here. So I need to try and figure out what angle I want to... Well, might just start from the top side. That might be better. I don't know if the combine is going to be able to cope with it. That's what I'm thinking. But the combine should follow the line of the crop in the field, because that's the exact line that the seed drill has put the crop into the ground at, which seems to be a good thing. Is that the line there? No, that's not the line that I want to follow. Alright, we'll see when we get over here as whether or not the combine can cope with all this. It might be able to, it might not be able to. There should be plenty of room for it to turn round on this headland. So long as we've got room to turn round, everything should be tickety-boo. Around here, like this. Then, this field here, right, so we've done barley in this one. I'm basically just going to randomly assign a crop each time, I think. I'm not going to plan a specific set of crops that we're going to do in this series, so I don't really know what I'll end up planting in here. Just make sure right, we don't need to keep a close eye on that one now. So what we want to do is we want to go up there and we want to have a look at what we... So barley is now harvesting. We can plant canola in early August, and then we got barley and wheat in September. Those are the only crops that we'll be planting, unless we do something like oilseed radish or anything like that, which I don't really want to do. We didn't do any canola, so maybe we could put some canola in somewhere, just to see how that goes. Not quite sure yet. And as for the rest of it, I don't really know. We got loads of potatoes. We got plenty of sugar beet in the ground. We've got corn, which I was actually going to do one lot of the corn for... no, I was originally going to do that, wasn't I? But, yeah, this was supposed to be corn in here. And then I was going to do one lot of corn as corn and one lot as silage, but that kind of backfired. So we'll put one of these fields as corn so that we've got some that we can harvest with the combine. And that all over there is going to be the silage, but we'll deal with that next month. Let's go crop types. Yeah, it's just this one at the moment. So I'm not going to do too much with this field until probably next month. I mean, maybe I could just get a tractor going in here and we'll start something off. Got a little tiny bit of grain left there. That's all right. Are you going to be able to deal with turning round? So it's a bit of a mystery whether or not they'll be able to cope with it. It's complicated business, this turning round. You can't hold it against them. Right, I want to go to you. Fendt 942. And we're going to chase that combine there. So I've now got 2 tankfuls in our trailer. We're going to, I think, have to return to the yard after we've taken this lot off and then tip it out and then come back again. So we need barley. Barley has to go into the seed maker. And I think barley also has to go into the protein feed, although I can't actually remember if it's protein feed or if it's just the seed maker. But we do want to populate that seed maker because the whole idea is that I want to be completely self-sufficient on this farm. I want to produce everything myself. And I want to... Well, I just want to use everything that is available on this map because this map is really, really cool and I like it. So I've got 17,000 litres of stuff on there. If I... run this back, yeah, I'm gonna need to change it over anyway. I'm gonna need to do that, so we'll go and do that now. I just want to have a quick look. Alright, it is barley that's needed for the protein feed and also for the seed master. We need barley for both of those. So, unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. A massive thank you to everybody who has earned their way into the Great Book of Names. To find out some more details about all the names coming past, please head into the description and click on the link to the Discord. It's a link to another video. The link is on the other video. Please also consider checking out the links there for Nitrado, who provide gaming servers for games like Farming Simulator, Minecraft, Ark, and several others. And there's also Fanatical, who will help support your gaming habit by providing you with cheap games and also giving me a small commission on anything that you buy using my link. If you've enjoyed this particular video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.